Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mishka. Welcome to another episode of Rural Heritage TV. Each year, the American Brabant Association hosts a rendezvous where members meet to discuss association business and developing breed standards. In 2022, they met in Wyoming where two German equine authorities discussed how to evaluate a horse. In 2023, an equine expert from Belgium discussed the origins of the Belgian horse in Europe, and in 2024, renowned equine evaluator Wayne Hipsley talked about a horse's conformation and other physical characteristics affect its fitness for work. After spending a day or so in the classroom explaining how breed standards are developed, the participants went outside where Wayne discussed specific traits of a couple horses there.
Now, I can do this just about every horse and make you think that we have a serious problem. But there is a natural curvature to the back of the horse. And typically, if I get between 3 and 4 fingers, which I'm in that range for her, that's normal posture for the back of a horse. The gray horse I showed you the pictures of, oh boy, was that ever a problem compared to this. Do you follow where I'm going with this? So don't let anybody fool you if they were to do something like this, that this horse has a back problem. I've done this to hundreds of horses, and I'll guarantee you they all have something like that, okay? The old theory of take these horses out and tie them to a corral fence to judge them is not the way to judge them, because you're going to see all types of distortion. An animal is going to stand just like you and I in a casual, relaxed posture. It's not necessarily at full attention, if you will. This mare gets a plus on eyes and eye position, all right? She's got good definition of the jowl. Overall, plenty of width between the eyes. She has what I call mare ears. They're long and they're big. I don't want to see this in a stallion. I look for shorter, smaller ears on a stallion. You know, look for more breed type, if you will. Did that make sense?
Yes.
And so, is the head, you have to ask, is the head feminine or masculine? To me, for a draft, it's feminine head. Back up. Back. We didn't talk about it, but I've got slides. We will. All right, stop it. Want to check the bite? She's a 4 coming 5. Here's where I want you to watch. Your eye is going to go automatically to the hoof. But I want you to raise your eye to the fetlock. I want you to raise your eye to the knee and watch the parallel movement or non-parallel movement of the front limbs. Don't worry about the hind limbs at this point. Watch the hocks, the fetlocks. She's base narrow when she walks. Compare the two now. Now the mare on the right is wider than the mare on the left, and yet she's right on the fringe, you know.
Each ABA member has his or her own reasons for preferring the American Brabant over other draft horse breeds. Mike Jordan of West Virginia explains how he uses draft horses on the farm and in the woods and why he prefers American Brabants.
My name is Mike Jordan, and I'm on the executive board for the American Brabant Horse Association. I live in West Virginia. I was born and raised in West Virginia. We own 150 acres in Barber County, and we started out in draft horses, mostly just for logging and just light duty farm work, and the longer it went, the more we got into it. We weren't able to find the type of draft horses that we wanted, so we had a pair of Belgian mares and a Persian mare, and I reached out to Jason Julian in 2015, and he put me in contact with a breeder that had a stud colt available, so we bought that horse. SS Simon. He came out of Minnesota from Tom Schmidt's breeding program. And we use that horse. We have 5 daughters of his on the farm now. So we imported a German Rhenish cold blood from Germany. He's a 2-year-old now. So we are utilizing him. We have 3 mares in foal to him now. So it will be our 2nd generation into American Brabants. And we're pretty dedicated and set on that breed now with what we're seeing reproductively and the ability to flesh easy. These mares breed back every year, and there's a lot of longevity in those horses. So I'm fairly low percentage compared to a lot of the breeders because I like the lack of feather. If you breed a horse that you have to shave the legs to keep the horse healthy, why not breed a better horse and do away with that feather? So the options here are hitch bred, high metabolism, a lot of vertical action, not good farm horses. The options in Europe, for the most part, outside of Germany, the Belgians coming from Belgium, they are slower, lethargic, bred for meat still, and lots of heavy feathering. So we're crossing the lighter horses in America with the heavier horses in Europe, and coming up with a good 1920 style draft horse. So that's kind of the plan. I farm full time with horses during the summer. We do about 90 to 95% of our farm work with horses, and I log in the winters. My wife and I own vintage horse logging, and we log in the winter, farm in the summer. We just kind of have a diversified farm here in West Virginia. So we do some crops, corn, oats, and then all of the tillage, primary tillage, secondary tillage, all the planting and all the harvesting is done with horses. All of our hay is mowed, tedded, raked with horses. We put some hay loose in the barn. We do small squares with a power cart, but I do round bale with a tractor.
Dave Myers of Maryville, Missouri, is delighted with how the American Brabant helps him produce superior draft mules.
I've been raising mules several years, and I was looking for a way to put more bone on my mules. I sell mule colts, I sell them as colts. And so I was looking for a way. A mule is just going to work his whole life. He cannot reproduce. His main function in life is to pull the plow or whatever you hook him to. That's what he's going to do. So I was looking for more bone to put on my mules. I saw an ad for an American Brabant stallion. And I thought, man, look at the bone on that. And I thought if I could transfer some of that bone to my mules, that was my goal. So I ended up buying a stallion, crossbred him to my American Belgian mares, took that cross, took the fillies out of it, sold the stud colts, took those fillies, raised them up and started crossing them with my jacks. And that way I was putting more bone on my mule colts. That was what I was after, and it worked out really great. And after I started, some of it didn't get all of the stud colts sold, so I ended up raising some. I thought, well, I'll sell them as broke horses when they got, 3, 4 years old. I fell in love with them. After I started working them, I said, we ain't selling all of them. We're going to keep some of them to work. So that's how I got more involved in the ABA, because I just loved their mind and loved their attitude. That's where we are today. I like the calmness and the quietness of the American Brabant. I work geldings. I've just started this last fall. I've got a pair of mares I'm going to start working, but I've always worked just the geldings, and I just like their mindset. They're just a little quieter, a little calmer. I think they pick it up just a little quicker, but I really got no evidence. I'm prejudiced. I like my horses, so I think they pick up on things just a little quicker, but I like the gentleness, the quietness, and their willingness to just work. That's what, like I said, I didn't start out to work American Brabant. I did not. I just wanted them as brood mares to raise my mules. But after I got some and got to working them, I fell in love with them. And so I think we have a group of breeders. I consider myself a breeder. I'm raising some colts. But I think we have a group that are really interested in making a better horse. If you produce a better product, the market comes to you. You don't have to go to the market. And even those that aren't selling and not breeders, they want a better product. And I think that's a group of people that's here today. They just want a better product, And most people here are looking for a horse to work. There's no one here, I don't see anyone here that's ever been in a show ring. No one here, that's not the type horse we're looking. We're looking at a horse that we can go out and hook to whatever implement we want to do that day, whether it's raking hay or plowing or whatever. We want one that'll perform and do that job. So that's the people that are here today.
Jason Julian, president of the ABA, explained how the American Brabant phenotype is being refined to more closely resemble the kind of horse used in the very early 1900s. He explains what that horse looks like.
You had a horse that was rectangular in shape, but appeared short back. Massive, powerful loins connecting the point of push from the power plant, the hindquarters. You had a long croup, deep muscles, proper slope to the shoulder with a collar seat. We tried to breed equal depth from the withers to the bottom of the heart girth as from the heart girth to the ground. Clean legs. Utilitarian legs. I have yet, there's not many hills I will die on, but feathers is probably one of them. No one has shown me a use for feathers yet. Oh, it protects you from the mud. No, it actually is like carrying around a wet rag mop.
Right. Right.
Remember, these are the people that were breeding the horse that had to feed the country and defend the country and move the freight. There was no farmals and no internationals and no freight liners coming to save them. You don't see any feathers. A short limb is powerful. Now, if they were breeding a horse for racing, they bred a long limb for covering ground.
When someone here thinks of what, I'm going to put it this way, what you guys are calling the European Belgian, which a lot of people still call the Brabant, that horse is markedly different from the horses you're showing me here.
Absolutely.
But you're using that horse as a kind of foundation to build your American Brabant, which is getting closer to that horse that's in your book.
We are trying to replicate the 1850 to World War I horse. To do that, we're using the European Belgian crossed with American Belgians. And let's be clear, there's three types of American Belgians. There's the unregistered farm horse running around out there on a lot of Amish farms. There's this hitchy type horse. You see the amount of leg and the lack of depth, the length of neck, very athletic horse, but that is bred for covering more ground with a more extravagant movement. That's not bred for the furrow. So originally we were crossing these two to produce the American Brabant. We've since pretty much stopped importing from Belgium, most of us in our group, and we've imported 3 German stallions, the German Rhenish Cold Blood, which is the Germans' version of the Belgian since the 1850s. We've let in about 50-some select, usually unregistered Persian mares, and they are 16-3 hands or less.
What some people would call the old style Persian.
The old style Persian. 15-2 to 17 hands is the American Brabant's breed standard. So we're letting in Persian mares, 16-3 or less, and they must be stocky.
Yeah, they have the proportions that you
They have the proportions we want. We feel we have more in common with this than we have in this.
While we were visiting Jason, he showed us his coming 4-year-old imported German cold-blood stallion in the woods skidding single for the first time. Later in the show, we will show you the horse working single in the woods 3 months later, and you'll see how much the horse had learned.
So this 3.5-year-old German Rhenish Cold Blood will be incorporated into the American Brabant breed. He's Belgian based, obviously. So like we talked about, Germany's been doing it forever. And in human years, I would liken a 3.5-year-old to a 17, 18-year-old young man. They're getting there. I can work them a little bit, but I'm not going to work them to his potential yet. Because like many of us young men, they grow till 20, 21 years old for a young man. They're till their bones are truly hard. So I won't pull him very hard for probably another 2 years, another 1.5 years, 2 years till he's 5-ish. But he's been worked as a 2-year-old on 2-year-old appropriate tasks, and as a 3-year-old is a 3-year-old appropriate task. So this winter he's 3.5, and he's going to skid single today for the first time. We'll see how that goes. This will be the first time. It'll be the first time I ask him to step away from a mare and go follow all the commands on his own. We'll just see, how the working mind, the Germans and the ABA talk about it. Come. Of the American Brabant. This is literally probably the first thing he's ever ground skidded, was this otter sled the last 50 yards. And there's no snow, and it's half full of junk and just bouncing all over it. And having said that, you can have a runaway with any horse at any time for Look at the difference. I mean, he didn't even take notice of that thing bouncing. Team. Horses are made to flee and run. We can do that. We know that. I would like to get this part right first. Back. I want him to yield to them tugs. Back. Good boy. Ooh. It's true you don't get lift with this system. You do not get much lift on the log at all. The difference is up north here, we're expected to take it from the butt of the tree down to 3 inches if it's straight. So I have such a variety of size constantly, this system works. The tongs don't work for me. And our wood's frozen most of the time. And tongs and frozen hard maple, unless you can afford tungsten tongs or something. Team. Let's see what you got, big boy. Team. Ooh, back. Good boy. Ooh. Unhook your evener first. Unless you want to be known as Six-Fingered Jason. Huh. Ooh. Haul around. 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 Good boy. Woo. So we try to do stuff progressively. One more ask and one more ask and one more ask until anything we ask is not a problem. Team. Come on, big boy. Ooh. Back. 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 Ooh. Good. Keep them lines somewhere. I know I'm repeating some stuff from other videos, Joe, but some stuff's worth repeating. Keep them lines somewhere you can be on them. You don't know if there's a underneath that brush pile right there, a red squirrel that jumps out and huh. Huh. He acts, to me, my impression, just a little bit lost. Like, why isn't there a mare telling me to go left? Yeah. But he's doing good, he knows it. Yeah. But he has to think about it a second, which is fine.
Now, 3 months later, we see how the same horse works in the woods.
I didn't grow up with draft horses. I grew up with riding horses. So I was at a disadvantage when I was buying my first horses. I didn't know there was 3 different types of American Belgians. But here's where my disadvantage ended. I didn't have a set paradigm. My family hadn't always bred this type of Belgian or hadn't always bred Persian. So I was strictly, what is working the best for me? What is holding up the best? What can do the most work? What looks good? What's breeding back? At least I can tell the difference. Well, that looked like a low stump when there was 2 feet of snow. Oh. G. G. boy. Paul. Back. Good boy. You're on.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of Back to the Land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.